So I signed myself up for a class. It is a shibari Japanese rope tying class.
Everyone remembers their first time. First kiss, first heartbreak, first trip alone, first job, first leap of faith. These are the stories of 5 people who are life virgins, trying something big for the first time. This is the virgin's first times. Olivia had always been the responsible daughter. With 2 younger siblings and a single mom recovering from knee surgery, Olivia postponed college and stayed home to help. Now, after years of caring for everyone else, she's finally found a job in Austin and is packing up her room. I feel selfish, she says, staring at the dusty bookshelf. But also, ready. I've never lived anywhere else. I want to know who I am outside of this house. Camera shows her folding sweaters slowly, hugging her dog, and saying goodbye to her mom at the Greyhound station. Marco's never had a real relationship. Growing up with immigrant parents who prioritized survival over emotions, he learned to bury his own feelings. Now, after years of ignoring dating apps and sidestepping vulnerability, he's met someone, Jordan, a school librarian with an easy laugh and a sarcastic sense of humor. I always told myself love was a distraction, Marco says, fixing his collar before a date. But Jordan, they make me feel seen. Like I'm allowed to want more. Rena is a self-proclaimed closet artist. She paints in journals, writes poems under a pseudonym online, and plays guitar only when she's sure no one can hear. When her community college hosts an open mic night, her best friend dares her to sign up. I'm not a performer, Rena whispers to the camera. But maybe I could be. Maybe if I do this, I'll finally stop hiding. Cue trembling hands, bright lights, and a quiet voice turning bold on stage. Darius spent 5 years in corporate logistics and hated every minute. After baking his famous sweet potato biscuits for a friend's birthday, he got an offer: cater the entire wedding. Now he's quitting his job to pursue his dream. Everyone keeps asking if I'm sure, Darius says, packing up a box labeled office junk. But I've never been sure about anything, except when I'm in the kitchen. That's where I come alive. Layla, a mother of 3 grown kids, has never traveled outside Michigan, let alone left the country. Her youngest just left for college, and for the first time in 27 years, the house is quiet. With a mix of fear and excitement, she books a solo trip to Istanbul, where her grandmother was born. I want to see where my family began, she says, holding her passport. And maybe where I begin again, too. Olivia arrives in Austin and sleeps on a mattress on the floor. She burns her first attempt at scrambled eggs and cries after setting up Wi-Fi. But later, she laughs while dancing alone in her apartment to old 90s pop. Marco and Jordan walk through Central Park holding hands. He panics when Jordan says, "I think I'm falling for you," and disappears for a few days. But then returns, awkward and apologetic. They sit in silence, holding pinkies. Rena almost backs out of the open mic. Her hands shake, and she forgets her lyrics. But the audience claps, not out of politeness but connection. She cries on stage. That was the first time I ever felt real, she later says. Darius has a kitchen fire on day 3. But his biscuits are a hit, and he gets an offer for a booth at the local market. He calls his mom beaming. I'm not rich, he laughs, but I'm happy. Layla wanders Istanbul's Grand Bazaar, unsure if she's overwhelmed or thrilled. She meets a local woman who reminds her of her aunt, and they sit together, drinking tea. I've never felt so far from home, she says, but never more like myself. Olivia's landlord raises rent unexpectedly. She considers going home. Marco confesses to Jordan that he's afraid of being a disappointment. I've never done this before, he says. Rena posts a clip of her song online and is slammed by trolls. She deletes the post and wonders if she's meant to stay small. Darius gets a bad review from a food blogger, and business slows. He stares at his unsold muffins and doubts everything. Layla's credit card gets blocked in Turkey. She sits at the airport hotel, alone, crying on a phone call with her eldest daughter. But life doesn't stop at the low. Olivia picks up a part-time job and starts a podcast called Homesick But Hungry, where she interviews people who left their hometowns. Marco finally tells Jordan, "I love you. Not because I know how, but because I want to learn." Rena goes back to the mic. This time, she brings a loop pedal and sings a song about trolls and tigers. The crowd cheers louder than ever. Darius pivots. He adds a new item, savory sundaes, with rosemary cornbread and peach jam. Sales return. He's booked for a small food festival. Layla walks through her grandmother's village with a photo in hand. A stranger recognizes her grandmother's name and brings her to a small yellow house. Layla touches the door. "This," she says softly, "was worth everything."